Welcome back, everybody. We're ready for day 17. We're moving along in the Bhagavad-gītā, and we're continuing with chapter 10, which is called the Opulences of the Absolute, or in Sanskrit, they sometimes say Vibhuti Yoga. So we're going to become familiar with this word Vibhuti. But before we get there, let's look again at these middle 6 chapters. The 6th chapter ended the first chunk of the Bhagavad-gītā, which was the first 6 chapters, and at the very end of that chapter, Krishna said that the highest yogi of all, Arjuna, I know that Ashtanga yoga is going to be very difficult for you to do, but don't worry about that, because the highest yogi of all is the one that's always thinking about me, one whose mind is always focused on me, one who's serving me with a full heart. So he's saying this is the yoga, right? Your mind is always fully absorbed in me with love. And he's got this amazing reciprocation that he's coming back with. We just heard in the 10th chapter how when one has that love and they serve him with that love, how excited they are, all that they feel, and how he becomes so respondent to that. He lightens their path and brings them back to him as the ultimate goal of yoga. And then Arjuna began to glorify Krishna using all of this, drawing from Vedic authority to establish who Krishna was. And so in the 7th chapter, so on the topic of that, always remembering him and always keeping him in our mind, we're hearing, we're being given content to meditate on. So in the 7th chapter, verses 8 through 11, he was saying, recognize me as the essence of everything, right? Remember, I'm the light of the sun, I'm the light of the moon, I'm the taste of water, etc., etc. And then in the 8th chapter, in the 9th verse, he gave us a whole list of his own qualities that the yogi meditates on. One who's the oldest, one who knows everything, is omniscient, who's the controller of everything, who becomes smaller than the smallest, who's the maintainer of everything beyond material concept, inconceivable form, always a person, luminous like the sun, transcendental beyond the material nature. Meditate on me with these qualities. Now in text 10, we're going to have his Vibhūtis, okay? Well, let's look at the word Vibhūti. This is an interesting word. It's built up like 3, I don't know anything about Sanskrit really, but from what I understand and what I've studied, the prefix V means something that's special or something that's different or something that stands apart. And the root bhu means something that arises or something that develops or manifests or appears. And then the suffix ti, it turns that word into a noun, so it becomes like a thing. So a vibhuti is something very special that has arisen, right? And so in this part of the Bhagavad-gītā, what Krishna is saying is that wherever you see anything special arise, know that it's coming from me. And then you'll think of me naturally. Naturally, your thoughts will always be absorbed in me, because the way this world works is that whenever we see something special, our attention gets diverted away from spirituality and away from God and into that temporary material manifestation. So Arjuna says in text 16, I'll read 16 and 17, he says, please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. O Krishna, O supreme mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O supreme personality of Godhead? And then he says, Vistare not mano yogam vibhutam cha janardana. Tell me about your vibhutis. Tell me about these special things that manifest everywhere that are actually manifestations of you in some special way. He says, O Janardana, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I'm never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. See how the message of the Gita is already given such relief to Arjuna, right? Now we're in the 10th chapter, and he's not in the same mental space where he was in the 1st and 2nd chapters, where he was so suffering so intensely. Now he's He's caught up in the message of Krishna. And Krishna replies in text 19, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. You know, and again, but what Krishna is saying is, and what he's going to demonstrate or show in this chapter, and how he's going to direct Arjuna's mind or Arjuna's yoga practice as his guru, is he's saying, whenever you see glories in others, know that those glories are mine and remember me. And someone might say, oh, hold it. Does Krishna have to take credit for everything? It's like, is it, can't he give? It's not that he doesn't give credit, but he's trying to help him always stay, like we've, Nitya Yukta, always stay connected to me. Satatam Yuktanam, always stay connected in your mind to me. You can do that by understanding that everything that you're seeing in this world and everything that excites you in this world or captures your attention or your imagination is coming from me. And I want to give an analogy to help us understand this. And a lot of times I like to use the virtual reality analogy because it just clicks in so much to our life in this world. So imagine this. Imagine that you're in a theater, a large theater where there's many people in the seats and they're all plugged into a vast virtual reality system. So you can see their real bodies sitting in the chairs and they all have their headsets on and their virtual equipment. And at the same time, you can see their avatars on a big screen moving through the environment of the virtual world that they're all engaging with. And you can also see the programmer who's written the entire code that makes this virtual reality function. Okay. And now within that virtual reality, every one of those people sitting in those chairs, they have a body, a virtual home, and their own abilities, their own unique talents as they move through that virtual world, all of which are coming from the programmer's design. And all the opportunities that they get and the limits that they face and whatever unique abilities they possess, it's all flowing from the code that this person is writing in. And so from your vantage point as the observer, you can clearly see that none of the things in that world belong to them independently, that it's all given to them by this programmer. They're just sitting in a chair full of desires, right? And the programmer is providing everything that they have, or in a sense, everything that they are in the virtual world. And now there's rules in this, right? Coded into this is a program, which we could call karma, right? That all the people inside the virtual reality are living under this system coded in. According to how they behave within that virtual reality, they either earn or they lose merit. And the programmer is responding to their desires, but based on each individual's merit, he's facilitating or restricting the fulfillment of those desires. To those who've accrued good merit, behaved well within that virtual reality, then he may open up a way for them to achieve extraordinary things in the virtual reality. So let's say one person amongst all those, let's say there's, hundreds of people in that theater. Let's say one of those people inside that virtual reality has a strong desire to be adored amongst the many. But not only they have that desire, because they probably all have that desire to some degree or another, but this one has earned the merit for that by their previous behavior. So the programmer grants them the ability to receive that. Let's say he gives that person a powerful virtual voice inside that reality and special confidence and all types of abilities so that they can everything that they need, you could say, inside that virtual world to capture the minds and the hearts of others they have. So they step out onto a virtual stage in that world and they begin to sing. And the whole crowd goes wild in adoration. Oh, everybody's sitting in those chairs. They have different bodies and identities in the world, and they're looking at that virtual singer in the world, and they're saying, my God, I love you. You're so great. Your songs have changed my life. It's so meaningful. I cry when you sing. I am yours. And so from within that world, it looks like all the glory belongs to that singer. The talent they have, the ability that they have, I love them. But as the one observing from this outside perspective, you can see more. you see that the singer's ability is not self-generated. It was granted by the programmer who enabled him with the talent and the conditions for that all to manifest. So today's the spotlight is on this, it's shining on this one individual, this one singer. And tomorrow it may be shining on another. He'll withdraw it at a certain point, and then another person has that desire, and he's granting it to that person. So whose power is it? Whose glory is it? Krishna is saying, this is what I'm doing. You understand? So Krishna is telling Arjuna in the 10th chapter, he points out he's pointing out the greatest among people and animals and things, and not so that we get lost in admiring them. This is this list of Vibhūtis that we're going to hear. He's showing that I'm the source of them, that it's me that's shining through them, right? They're shining. He's saying it's my power that's shining through them. So to those within the virtual reality, the glory looks like it all belongs to the individual. But to the one has this zoomed out perspective and sees the whole picture, they recognize that the hand of the programmer and everything that's happening. This is the vision of a yogi. Right? To ordinary eyes, the world's wonders distract us from God. But to the eyes of the yogi, those very wonders become reminders of God's glories. Just as you, the witness, can see both the code and the coder, that's creating this dazzling avatar in the virtual world, the yogi sees Krishna behind every spark of greatness in this world. That's the idea. So that when we see great things in this world, we don't get turned away from God. We actually, we give credit to the person. Like they had, within that virtual world, they probably had to work, they had to accrue that karma. And maybe it played out in their practicing singing for hours and hours in the virtual reality, whatever. It's not that Krishna's saying that in one sense they didn't do anything, but what he's saying is the beauty in that song when you hear it. I gave them that. I created that music. And you'll hear this from many great musicians, for instance. I've heard Bob Dylan say it. I heard Bob Dylan say he was being interviewed about songs he wrote, and he was saying, I could never write that song again. And the interviewer was saying, why? And he was saying, because you don't just write a song like that. It's not like it's something you just sit down and do. It's given to you. And I also heard Smokey Robinson say that what many people consider to be the greatest record ever recorded was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. And when he was working on that, it just took music to another level in terms of the writing and the production and the style. And what was spoken through it was very special and beautiful messages. And when he was working on that, Smokey Robinson was asking about what he's working on, and he's saying, he was saying to him, I'm not making this record. God is making this record through me. So many times people can feel it. Otherwise, they'd be able to write more and more songs like that, and then they can't. It gets withdrawn. Krishna is saying, it's my power working through them. Whenever you see something great, you can think of me. So then Krishna gives a list of 75 different ways that we can see greatness in this world as his power. Some of them are devas and celestial beings, like he says, among the Adityas, the sons of Aditi, which means like the devas, the demigods. He says, I am Vishnu, meaning he's Upendra. And among the demigods, I am Indra. And among the Rudras, I am Shiva. And among the sages, I am Narada. And among the Daityas, the dynasty of the demons, I'm the devoted Prahlad, right? Beautiful Prahlad Maharaj. And then there's categories that are like celestial bodies or elements or natural forces. Of lights, I'm the radiant sun. Among immovable things, I'm the Himalaya mountains. Among trees, I'm the banyan tree. Among rivers, I'm the Ganges River. And among seasons, I'm the flower-bearing spring. And then there's a category that's like humans and leaders or different social roles. He says, among men, I am the monarch. Among the wise, I am that wisdom itself. And then you could say there's another category of like scriptures or aspects of knowledge or sound, which is what knowledge is carried through. He says, of the Vedas, I'm the Samaveda. Of vibrations, Om. Of poetry, I'm the Gayatri Mantra. And then there are other cosmic principles mentioned. I am the super soul in the hearts of all living beings. Among subduers, I am time. In living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. and I am all-devouring death. And then he also has another category that has to do with power or weapons or splendor. Among weapons, I am the thunderbolt. I am victory, adventure, the strength of the strong. I am the splendor of all that is splendid. So again, it's a list of 75. The more that you understand the Vedic teachings, the more you understand the significance of each of these. But suffice it to say that they're all very wonderful and powerful and splendorous and attention-grabbing, and they capture the minds and the hearts. So he's saying whatever in this world is capturing your mind and your heart, especially when it shows up in such a particularly powerful, dynamic way, know that it's me behind it. It couldn't happen without me. I'm giving it, not because I'm egotistical, right? But for you to be able to understand and remember me and come to me, see me everywhere like this. Right? This is the yoga again that he's asking. And then the last 3 verses give he sums things up in a really powerful way. In text 40, he says, O mighty conqueror of enemies, Arjuna, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my intimate opulences. And text 41 is a beautiful verse. Young Vibhūti mat sadbang Srimad, anything beautiful. Srimad Urjitam, anything. Srimad Urjitam evava, tang eva gavachatvam, mama tejong sasambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. All right? This isn't something that should make us envious. This is something that should make us curious. This is something that should ultimately, when we understand Krishna, it'll melt our heart. Krishna's here, Krishna's there. When we feel that love, we'll feel such joy in recognizing Krishna's splendor everywhere. And then finally, text 42, but what need is there, Arjuna, of all this detailed knowledge? I can give you all these details of this, that, the other, but I can just tell you in one shot, with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe, right? He's speaking about the Paramatma, right? With a single fragment of himself, he expands as this Vishnu expansion that becomes Mahavishnu, the soul of the entire material realm from which all the universes come from the pores of his skin. And then each one of those universes, he again enters as the second Vishnu expansion, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. He lies down on the water. From his navel grows a flower. Upon that flower is Brahma, the creator. He empowers that creator to create. Right? And then that creator, Brahma, creates all the different species of living beings, and he enters into the heart of everyone as the third Vishnu expansion, Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He enters into every atom of that universe with a single fragment of his self. He pervades and supports the entire universe. So everywhere you look, it's me, Arjuna. And that's why I'm the one worthy of taking shelter of. Bring your mind to me, bring your heart to me, and you'll find complete shelter and complete satisfaction and complete bliss, and we can do it in complete love. I thought I'd just share one last quick little story that this is a story of, there's 3 people, 2 of them I know. One is Srila Prabhupada, and one was Pradyumna Prabhu, and one was Indradyumna Swami. And they were young devotees at the time, and they were on an airplane with Srila Prabhupada. And a movie came on the airplane, and Indradyumna Swami was thinking, I'm going to be like a strict devotee, and I'm not even going to pay attention to this movie that's playing. And the movie was a Charlie Chaplin film. And before long, Indradyumna Swami was looking over, he could see Srila Prabhupada, and he could see Srila Prabhupada was really enjoying the film and really getting into it and laughing, you know. He was thinking, I thought we weren't supposed to become distracted. We're just supposed to read the Bhagavad-gītā and the Srimad Bhagavatam and not get distracted by all these worldly things. He was surprised Srila Prabhupada was enjoying it so much. And he called aside Pradyumna Prabhu and he said, dude, what's going on here? I didn't think we're supposed to enjoy these kind of things. And he was like, yeah, I'm a little surprised too. And they're talking to each other and they're saying, well, why don't you ask, Pradyumna Prabhu said, why don't you ask him about it? And Indradyumna, so I said, I think you should ask him. And so finally Pradyumna asked him. uh, Prabhupada, we thought we weren't supposed to really get uh, interested in these kind of things, but you seem to be really enjoying the film. Can you explain why? And Prabhupada said that generally we don't watch movies so much, but he said this, but Charlie Chaplin's humor is very original, and Krishna is the origin of all original things. This is the way that a devotee can see. It's not that they're rejecting everything. Some yogis have a certain path where it's largely about just cutting everything off. The bhakti yogi is just the yoga that's being talked about in these middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad-gītā, and the ultimate message of the Bhagavad-gītā is that you can move through this world and be exposed to so many things. And when you understand Krishna and you have this love for Krishna, he lights up everything inside you, and you see him everywhere. You see his power everywhere. You see the programmer that is the beautiful, compassionate, loving Sri Krishna behind everything. And whatever you see, it makes you think of him. I always think, one manifestation of what I was speaking about earlier is like this, that when Freddie Mercury, the singer of Queen, he's kind of famous for, he did this on the biggest stage of all when they had this huge concerts, the big charity concerts. I forget what they were for, but they had a huge stadium and there were so many big stars, but he just came on that somehow that was his moment, and he came on and he shined, and the way that he could sing, and the crowd was just lit up by the power of his presentation and his voice, and he was just shining, like that. A devotee, it's not exactly that they have to turn away. They can see that. If they see that, they see, just see the power that Krishna is giving this person, and imagine the music of Krishna's flute when it's that complete power, not a limited power that Krishna is giving, but when he's expressing his full power. All right, that's all for today. Tomorrow we come back and we begin. Chapter 11. Things get very exciting in chapter 11. Thank you all so very much. Hari Om Tat Sat.